All right, 2 Kings 12. Let's call this one did not depart from princes, or in modern terms, clout chasers. Now, ordinarily, we would think of princes as people who have clout, but understand how those of a certain elevated status might sometimes like to find people with at least as much clout as they do to hang out with as well. And that's what's going to happen in this chapter as Joash has been made king by the priest Jehoiada. And things are actually going to go pretty well because Jehoiada is not only going to prove to be a great kingmaker, he's going to prove to be a pretty good counselor as Joash is going to begin to rebuild Judah and actually bring it back to a certain level of esteem, helping them to be able to raise their head from the days of turmoil under the leadership of Athaliah. They are going to begin to rebuild the temple. And even though it's not going to go as smoothly as Joash would like, it's going to be a process where they're going to raise a whole lot of money, but they're not going to do a whole lot of work on the timetable Joash had hoped. They're eventually going to get it moving. And that is going to seem to be a highlight of his reign. But like we mentioned with Jehu, your job typically is going to come with a set of things you enjoy and a set of things that you don't. And so he is going to have a knock at his door from another king who is going to come looking for some of his stuff. And so what he's going to have to do is raise enough money to buy this king off so they can have peace and get back to simply rebuilding Judah, which he is going to do pretty well as long as Jehoiada is living and giving him counsel. But he is going to see a definite shift in things after Jehoiada passes. And we're not going to see a lot of that discussed in 2 Kings. All it's going to really say is after a while, his servants made a conspiracy against him. But 2 Chronicles is going to give us a little bit more insight as to what happened between the time that Jehoiada passed and the time that Joash fell to the conspiracy from his own servants. See, what seems to have happened is after Joash became successful, he attracted the attention of some of the princes of the land who became his buddies. And so the people who weren't necessarily around for the building of his success had some great ideas as to how he should use his success. And after they began to lead the country in another direction that was not quite as successful as it had been under Jehoiada's leadership, Jehoiada's son steps up and says, "What are you doing? Not only are you going off in strange directions, it's having strange results. Can you not see that the things you're doing with the accumulated success is actually dragging us back into misery?" And so Joash's new friends, the princes, the men of clout, are going to convince him that Jehoiada's son don't really have enough clout or standing to really open his mouth around here. And so what they're going to do is convince Joash to give them the green light on Jehoiada's son. And so he is going to allow his new friends, his friends who are convincing him as to the best way to spend his money and his newfound success, to turn on the people who helped him build that success. And he is actually going to give them permission to kill Jehoiada's son, Zechariah, and that is what they are going to do. And that is what precedes the story of his own servants greenlighting the conspiracy that leads to his own execution, which might not have been quite so bad if his son, Amaziah, who we're going to see pick up the reins of Judah in chapter 14, if he would have just let it go, it might have ended there. But he is going to be a relatively successful king who is not going to be able to let go of the fact that his father Joash's servants might have simply been executing judgment for the wrong that Joash had done to Zechariah, the son of the man who actually made him king.